Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something pretty wild. It's a theory from Carlos Castaneda's teachings that's fascinating, but also, frankly, a little unsettling. It's going to challenge everything you think you know about human potential, our own energy, and maybe even the invisible forces that are shaping our lives. Okay, so let's start with this really powerful image. Think about a newborn baby. According to this theory, they're not just a tiny human. They're this brilliant, luminous cocoon of energy just bursting with potential. But then you look at most adults, and what do you see? That same glow? It's just a shadow of what it was. It's been diminished, cropped, suppressed. The difference is just, wow, it's stark. So what is this stuff? Well, the source material has a name for it: luminosity. You can kind of picture it as this energetic cocoon that surrounds every single one of us. And when we're born, in its natural state, this field is supposed to be incredibly bright, full, just powerful. It's our birthright, you know? And right away, that brings up the big question, doesn't it? It's really the question that drives this entire idea. If we all start out as these radiant, luminous beings, what on earth happens to us? Where does all that potential just disappear to? While the answer given in these teachings is, let's just say it's startling. It points to a pretty frightening truth about the hidden forces at play with our own energy. And get this, the source material itself actually gives a warning. It says, hey, the information that follows can be unsettling, so yeah, consider this your heads up. Okay, so here it is. This is the core of the theory. It suggests there's something out there called flyers. And these aren't just any beings. They're described as inorganic, predatory entities that feed on a very, very specific type of human energy. And these things aren't random. They're drawn to something specific. Those intense flares of energy we give off when we feel negative emotions. You know, things like aggression, irritation, hatred, fear. They basically graze on our luminosity, cropping it way, way down. The source has this really vivid image for it. They keep our potential suppressed at the level of our ankles. I mean, that's a chilling thought, right? It's like something is literally feeding on our vitality, keeping us small. So your first thought is probably, wow, that's a cosmic tragedy, a horrifying parasitic relationship. But, and this is where the theory takes a really sharp turn, it asks a completely different question. Is this whole system actually a necessary evil? I know it sounds completely bizarre, but the explanation given is that this whole setup isn't some accident or a flaw in the universe. No, it's a feature. It's described as a kind of cosmic protective measure, a system of checks and balances. Okay, let's play this out. Imagine if, tomorrow, all of our full luminosity was just restored. The theory says this would unlock all these latent extrasensory abilities, superpowers, basically. Now, take a step back and think, what would a species that's so prone to rage, jealousy, and fear do with that kind of power? The conclusion is pretty bleak, isn't it? We'd almost certainly destroy ourselves. So this system, this predatory system, as awful as it sounds, is actually framed as a way to protect humanity from itself, from our own unrestrained nature. It's like the universe's imperfect solution to stop a much bigger problem, our own tendency to self-destruct. So the real takeaway here is, yeah, from an energy standpoint, we're basically invalids. We're totally cut off from our true potential. But, and this is the ironic part, this weakened state is a direct result of our own untamed emotions, and it's the very thing that allows society to even function without just falling into total chaos. Okay, that's a pretty grim picture, I know. But if this system is real, then the next question is obvious, right? Is there a way out? Is there any path to getting that energy back? And the solution isn't what you might think. It's not about fighting these things. It's not an outer conflict. It's all about inner mastery. The goal isn't to go to war with the flyers. The goal is to change your own energy so completely that you become, for lack of a better word, inedible. You just take yourself off their menu. So how do you do that? Well, it boils down to 3 key practices. First, you have to master your reactions. Stop responding to everything with aggression or irritation. Second, you cultivate what's called inner silence, stopping that constant voice in your head. And third, and this one's a huge challenge, you try to live just one single day without a single negative emotion. Think about it. If you can pull that off, you're basically starving these predators. They just lose interest because you're not making their food anymore. And when that happens, your luminosity, your true potential, it just naturally starts to restore itself. And according to the source, this isn't some mystical idea. This is the practical, nuts and bolts description of the state that Eastern sages have a different name for: enlightenment. But just when you think you've got it all figured out, the source material throws one last, really profound twist at us. A mystery that's maybe even deeper than the flyers themselves. So, as these seers were exploring human energy, they found something else inside our luminous cocoons. It was this weird structure, like a stamp or a pattern, and it was completely separate from everything else they'd seen. And they gave it a name: the human matrix. And the description of this matrix is just wild. The seers said it looked like the traditional image of Jesus Christ. And what's really important is that it wasn't a source of power they could use. It was more like a pattern or a guide. Its whole purpose seemed to be to help humans become something more than just reactive animals. So this isn't a parasite. It's not a limiter. It's like a potential blueprint for a higher way of being. But here's the final twist in the story. These seers, right, they were obsessed with gaining power. And because this matrix didn't give them any power they could use, they were just disappointed. They wrote it down, but because they were so focused on power, they completely missed the most fundamental, most staggering question about it. And that's the really provocative thought we're going to end on today. After all this talk about predators and energy and potential, the deepest mystery might actually be this guiding pattern that's stamped into our very being. The seers never asked the simplest, most obvious question of all, but who put it there?